Hi everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I am feeling quite a bit better than I was. Not 100%, but better than I was. So I figured we'd try and record another episode of this. I don't know if my voice will hold up to the whole usual episode length. I'm hoping it will. If it doesn't and we cut it short, I figure a shorter episode is better than no episode at all for two videos running. So we're going to try. If I remember correctly, we were trying to basically figure out what's wrong with the floor plans. So the judge is saying you've been staring pretty intently at the floor plans. Let's have a look at them before, I guess, he's going to ask us to point something out. So what were we pointing out? Is to do the handprint and stuff as well, I think, wasn't it? Evidence room floor plans. Scene of the stabbing of a detective. Right, let's have a look at this. So, we've got the big pile of blood over there in the top corner, puddle rather than pile, and then we've got those two lockers in question with the little blue lines on them there. What else have we got here? We've also got the sevens thing on here. We still don't know who the 7-7s guy is, assuming it's a guy. I mean, it's probably a guy, right? I'm thinking it's Gant. That's my thing. We've got nothing to prove that. We know Edgeworth went in. We know that Mike Meekins went in, and Goodman, and then Meekins went in again. So Meekins went in twice, Edgeworth went in, and Goodman went in. So what else have we got before we push on here? This was evidence from a past case of Edgeworth's brought back to his office by Gant's request. So Gant wanted that in Edgeworth's office for some reason. We've got the evidence locker. We've got this unstable jar which has clearly got blood on it. So this was used to smash someone over the head, I'm thinking. Marshall's fingerprint, the security video. And we've got the files for the Joe Dark killings, which we can have a look at. The perpetrator was Joe Dark. The crime was the serial murder. The sentence was death. Obviously, Neil Marshall was involved. And then we've got all this other stuff as well. Investigative task force. The video itself, we've seen lots of times. We have got that badger thing in there, haven't we? And that doesn't show up on the floor plans, but it's directly in front of one of the lockers in question. And actually it's where, if we go back to our floor plans, the leftmost line is Marshall's locker, where the thing was stashed. The rightmost line is where Gumshoe's locker was. But actually it's where the blue badger is as well. So I wonder if that's relevant in some way. And then we've got the big puddle of blood in the top right where the attack happened. So actually I'm thinking that right hand side blue line could be to do with the blue badger. So let's go and look at the blue badger. Was allegedly dancing in the evidence room at the time of the murder. Okay. It has got the handprints on it. So maybe, is there a way we can test that handprint to see if it was perhaps Marshall's or something? I don't know if we can. Anyway. Sorry, had to cough there. So we've been staring at the floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? ... Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Yeah, so it's that bit there. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, the blue badger, right? That line. Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Oh yeah, it's going to be the blue badger, isn't it? Let us pray the defence isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing from the floor plans? It's the blue badger. Because that's the only thing that's not on there, but it's where that blue line is that's the only line now showing on the floor plans, right? What about that piece of plywood? The blue badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Yeah, right in the way of that locker, right? Well, what? That's right. So long as the blue badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. Exactly, so that was in the way, so the handprint must have been there before or after, right? I'm guessing probably before, but it can't have happened at the time. It must have happened when the... that reaction. When the blue badger wasn't there. What? So that means... just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? So I'm thinking that that mark must have been put on there before. So it'd be the person with the 7s who put that mark on there, I imagine. After he puts it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in. Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honour, but it's the only possible explanation. On February the 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. See, we can't see anything on that locker at the moment. The problem is, the other time... So it happened before the blue badger came in with Meekins. Now, if I remember correctly, Meekins said that first time he swiped into the room was to bring the blue badger in, right? So, it must have been done beforehand. So whoever this 7s person is has got to be who put that blood mark on the locker. Someone bled prior to this struggle, shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous! I refuse to accept your absurd claim! The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? Well, it's got to be whenever the 7s happened, right? It's got to be. To summarise, the defence claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defence please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? Okay. It's the list, right? Because 4:20 PM, 7s has got to be it. So I'm guessing, at this point, 7s went in, smashed Goodman over the head with that jar thing, which is why we found the blood on the floor and the smashed jar with the blood on the jar itself. And then the blood mark was put onto the locker during that time, so it's going to be this, I think. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh, the ID card record. Officer Meekins brought the blue badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 PM. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 PM. No, that's not what we meant. We didn't mean it to be Edgeworth. I mean it to be the 4:20 of this 7s person, not Edgeworth. Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that the blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. So it's the 420 where 20 minutes was involved. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Well, at least they figured that bit out. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 7 sevens. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7 sevens. I'm calling him 7 sevens. I mean, we could call it sevens. I'm not calling it 7777777 because that's just silly. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777777777. That's 1 7 too many, Your Honour. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 7s belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. That's weird. But that's ridiculous. Just how... I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge is filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid. She's being charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 7s. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SO9 incident. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana, I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realised it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't... ... I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana... Even if it involved forging evidence. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. See, that's what I'm talking about. No! No! Order! 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 Wow. Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Oh my god. Wow, okay. That has taken a turn, hasn't it? Wow. Fair enough. Alright. We don't need to do that right now. So, we're going to have to wait until the following day, February the 24th, 3:12 PM, Wright & Co. Law Offices, which is where we'll leave it because my voice is pretty much done, I think. I've managed to get through it. It was a little bit tricky in places, but I feel like we should be able to get back to routine with this series now, which is good. So as always, thank you very much for watching. A big thank you to my patrons, Arcades Games, Wayne Nate, Paul from the Phantom Fellows, Lyle, Hobo, Numinous, Kumadim, Paulione, Flossie the Sheep, JohnCon555, Chrissy, Paul James, Zolties, and Adventure Game Geek. And I'll see you next time.